but his mannerisms are really great. Let him go. Just keep the leash loose. Don't hold it back. I need no tension. Good.
I just can't hold her.
Right. So what I did is I realized that dogs now are four things. They're animals, number one. Number two, they're species. Number three, a breed. And number four, we have the behaviors. Okay? Well, I'm a colossal believer that number 3 and 4 are irrelevant. I don't really care what the breed is. It really is not relevant. A dog is a dog is a dog is a dog. It's that simple. They're just a different set of clothes, a different set of skill set, a different culture, different sizes, of course. But at the end of the day, it's a dog. It's no different than if you took a dog. Say you took a kid from China, you took a kid from Russia, Canada, Mexico, and you simply put them on an island and just had people raise them. They'd all be the same. Okay, they'd all be the same. And you could put a leash on Bubba if he's starting to walk. When you grab a leash, put on Bubba. And like I said, I had somebody that's supposed to be coming, and on the way here, she threw up on herself. She threw up on herself, and bring Bubba right over here with me. She threw up on herself, so she had to drive home and change her clothes.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Well,
bring
she
Bubba
got a
right over here on my
stomach
left
virus,
side.
does she?
What's that?
She doesn't have a stomach virus, does she?
No, I think she got car sick.
Oh, okay.
I'll have her stay away.
But he just-
So bring him right over on this side. Come here, Bubs.
Was it Bonnie?
Is it
No,
who?
Anna.
It was a girl named Anna. You just stay there. Sit down.
But you like holding that.
All right, so we have to start recognizing that the breed and the actual personality doesn't matter. So this dog's behaviors are really not that relevant. And I know that sounds bizarre. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So you're going to have a trainer come and work with this dog. And let's say I have to work with this dog about not going after other dogs. Okay, that's one thing that he's working on. Now, if I had an 8-year-old son and he was biting his nails down to the nub and he was coming home every day from school, and I said to the school psychologist, you know, what do I do about my kid? He's biting his nails down to the nub. What do I do? The guy with the school psychologist would be like a trainer. Okay, let's look at that behavior. What? Shh, hey. Shh. The school psychologist would look at that behavior and say, put the apple bitter stuff on his nails and he will stop chewing them. Well, that's all well and good. Good, that's not the nail behavior, but here's the problem. I don't really care that much about the nails, okay? What I care about is, why do I have an 8-year-old son that is so nervous and tentative, he is biting his nails down like that? That's the real problem, okay? So it's not always the behavior that's the problem. That's just a symptom of something bigger. So a trainer or a school psychologist that isn't very good would just target a behavior. I don't care about the nails. I want to know, you know, why is he this nervous? Do we have a situation where he's bullied? Does he have a learning disability? Does he have is he getting bullied or picked on? Does he got a creepy uncle? Let's figure out the big problem here so these behaviors all go away. Because the nails are just an outlet for something that could be far worse, okay? Potentially alcoholism down the road or violence or whatever. So we have to solve the big problem. Well, what I've identified, guys, is the big problem isn't these behaviors, it's the way we are with our dogs. We simply don't know how to communicate with them and talk to them in a manner that they understand. So that's what we're here to do today. And we're here to fulfill their needs. And that's what I'm going to get into next, their needs. So as far as the breed, it's irrelevant. As far as the dog's behaviors, a lot of it are irrelevant. That doesn't mean we don't fix those behaviors, but we've got to do something different first. And what we have to do first is very simply change our relationship with our dogs, so we're not our little brother or sister, and they're our little baby and our teddy bear, but we are now their leader, okay? And we are the one that communicates with them. So the first thing we want to do is, how do we fulfill the dog's needs? So what would happen is I would go back, I would look at what I did, and I thought for sure that when I had my first dog, I was fulfilling all the dog's needs. my dog Max 30 years ago, but he bit everybody. So clearly I was not fulfilling the dog's needs, okay? So let me go back in time, and I can beat up on myself so I'm not beating up on people here, and tell you through myself all the things that I did wrong, so you can kind of see what you guys have most likely done wrong. So when I said to myself, I'd go back and Back to the Future in that car, and I'd go back in time, and I would see 25-year-old Mark, and 55-year-old Mark would show up, and I would say, here's your problem with your dog. You're not fulfilling his needs. And I would say to him, my 22-year-old self would say to myself, bullshit. I'm fulfilling all his needs. Okay? What do you mean? I give him a house. It's cool in the summer, warm in the winter, shelter. That's his needs. I give him only the best dog food. Okay? I fill his bowl with water. I take him for rides. I sleep with him. I give him beer. I do everything for him. This dog loves me. I don't know what more you want than have somebody to sleep with, have beer, shelter, food, water. If he's got a limp, every time he's limping, I take him to the vet because I'm petrified he's got cancer of the foot. I mean, I spent thousands of dollars on a dog. There was nothing wrong with him. I overloved him is really what was happening, okay? So what I said to him is, well, Mark, sit down. This is what you need to understand. Number one, we can't look at our dogs the way we've rescued these dogs. Hey, we can't look at these dogs the way we've rescued them. We have to look at them in a totally different way. My first dog I got from a breeder. A lot of you guys have rescued dogs off the street from barbaric human beings that taught them how to fight and do all kinds of awful things. I don't want you to look at it that way, because you have saved your dog's lives, but we have to look at it from a completely different view. We have to look at the fact that Mother Nature did not intend on us hanging out with a bunch of wolves, okay, on a Saturday morning, okay, as our children. She just didn't, because why? We're different species. You don't see chipmunks and squirrels hanging out with lions. It just doesn't happen, okay? The reality is we have violated Mother Nature's rules. So our human instincts are much different than theirs. So when I said, Bubba, shh. So when I say I'm fulfilling the dog's needs, I'm not really fulfilling their needs. These dogs were meant to be running free in a pack with a hierarchy of leadership, migrating, not behind closed walls, okay? Not in a cage. And that's really what I would say to myself is, well, I give them shelter? No, it's just a big cage that's very nice looking. It smells nice, it's painted well, there's nice decorations, but at the end of the day, it's a cage, it's a kennel. That's it. That's not a dog's need to be in a cage. Well, I feed him. No, you've technically taken him as hostage, and you're keeping him alive by feeding him because you want a dog to come home to and see. I give him water, it's the same thing. You're keeping him alive. Well, I take him for walks every day. Well, yeah, so he doesn't piss and shit in the house. Like, everything we're doing, really, guys, when you think about it with our dogs, is 100% for us. We're never doing anything for them. So what we have to do is look at the way we see these dogs differently. We have to look at them not as humans. We have to look at them simply as dogs and animals and fulfill those instinctive needs. So, instincts drive all of our behaviors. Instincts drive their behaviors. So let me explain. Instincts drive human behaviors. A great example would be my 25-year-old son. His name is Gus. That'll tell you all you need to know about him, okay? He's 25, been out of college for 2 years. He was a skinny kid in high school and great athlete, super athlete, really good athlete. But he, all of a sudden now, he's out of college and this and that. He's out of college, and now I see him making some changes in his life. And I see him now saying now he wants to be 210 pounds of muscle. So he's hitting the gym hard every day. Which is good, it's a good thing. He wears this stupid haircut that I just cannot believe a son of mine wears. He wears this shirt that I would not be caught dead in. He actually, a few weeks ago, bought fake glasses to look better. So, to me, I got a problem with it. That's like getting a wheelchair just to kind of get a good seat at a game. I don't agree with that, okay? So he did that. And then he pulls one of these the other day. I want to get a Dodge Hellcat. Okay, now, that is a $70,000+ car. He is 2 years out of college. He sells printers, guys. Printers. He is not killing it. Okay, he spends the majority of his rent probably because he lives downtown. Of course, he's gonna live downtown, and most of his rent goes towards that. So I asked him, Gus, what's the deal here? What's all this about? And he says, Dad, for chicks. Okay. So, all right, I'm buying it. So, but why is he really doing it? Well, at the end of the day, these behaviors that are very oddball that are over here, he's following his primal instincts of keeping our species going. I mean, we don't need to have a sex ed class to understand where I'm going with this, but you understand that it's just in our brain. You know, there are files in our brain that say sexuality, meat, have kids, blah blah blah. That's how we have been around for I don't know how long. I know dogs have been around 40,000 years. I got no idea how long humans have. But so that's how we have survived as a species. Okay, so we have to recognize that instincts drive our behaviors. Okay, it's the same thing for dogs. Dogs' behaviors, the primal instincts they have, are very easy. They have to be in a balanced pack. This is where we have runs into problems. These dogs, none of these dogs are in a balanced pack. None of them. Okay? Why? Because they're not balanced. If they were balanced, they would be in a balanced pack. They would have a balanced leader that understands what they can and can't do. Okay? So, when you see these dogs getting protective, when you see them getting nervous and anxious, these are all part of the pack. See, Mother Nature designed these dogs' brains to follow instruction in a pack. So they learn really everything within that family dynamic, okay? They learn how to hunt, they learn how to migrate, they learn how to behave, they learn how to calm down, they learn how to wait. Everything is taught in a pack. It's almost like college. But the problem that we have is we have theoretically taken them out of that environment and brought them into our emotional shit show of a world. And this is where we are with dogs. We don't really realize that we have created so many of these anxieties, so many of these problems, okay? But again, I can't emphasize it enough. It's not your fault. You're not a dog. So their dogs, their primal needs are to have these pack instincts fulfilled, okay? Yes, baby, I know. So how are we going to do that? One of the best ways to do it is to simply teach a dog how to walk and how to get along and behave around other dogs and people. So when we walk, we have to provide them the leadership and the communication that they so badly need. See, we don't know how to communicate with them. They communicate with each other and with us in a completely different way than we do. So we have to understand how they learn. And once we understand how they learn and how to fulfill their needs, you're going to see a completely different dog. And I'm seeing this dog, for the most part, okay, I haven't even really worked with this dog, change, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to teach this dog how to relax, how to follow me. If you'll notice what I did earlier, we're teaching this dog to follow me. Every time he got in front of me, I turned around. I said, come on. We need the dog to follow, because dogs don't think. They simply react. So if you have a dog that's nervous, anxious, aggressive, fearful, any of these things, the dog will react in that manner. If the dog is a follower and balanced, they'll ask permission. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So they're not just like, so we don't want dogs making decisions anymore. Sounds harsh, but when you think about it, it makes all the sense in the world. Okay? You open the door, dog sees a chipmunk, I'm making a decision to chase it, dog get hit by a car. Could die, could have a $10,000 bill. So allowing dogs to make decisions is not what we want. Attacking another dog, we don't want that. Okay, that's the dog's decision. Getting, pulling on a leash, getting reactive when they see another dog. They're making the decision. We're not going to allow that anymore. So what we're going to do is, because we violated Mother Nature's rules of keeping a dog as our best friend and our kid and all this other stuff, what we're going to do now is we're going to replicate Mother Nature from a dog perspective, because they can't go to the library and learn about us. They simply can't. So we have to learn about them, and that's what we're doing here. So you're going to understand all the stuff that I do with these dogs that I work with, so you can go home and apply them to the other dogs. Or when these fosters are failing, you can help them understand why they're failing. They're failing because they've made a colossal mistakes. Think about all the mistakes that I made with my dog, okay? A ton of them. That's not your fault. You're human, right? So let's talk about how we got to this point, how we made these mistakes because we simply followed our instincts. So, Gabby, if your husband comes home and he's got great news and he's excited and happy, how does that make you feel? It's not a trick question either.
Excited.
Excited and happy.
Yeah.
Right? And vice versa. So, if he's excited and happy, you're excited and happy. Okay? When you see your dog for the first time and you see the tail going a mile a minute and the tongue out, okay? You see a dog like that, okay? Got the boo-boo eyes. That dog is excited and happy. You feel excited and happy, and of course you give it affection and love. Nothing wrong with that. That's just what your brain told you to do. Okay? So again, I think you're seeing a kind of reoccurring thing. The brain's telling you to do this, but we're actually making things worse. So, but you've done nothing wrong. You just followed your brain. Get over here. You're about to go in the truck in a minute. All right? So your brain just simply told you to do that. So every time you see your dog, and these dogs, believe it or not, just want to make you happy. That's all their objective is in life. They just want to make you happy. But unfortunately, a lot of these behaviors, believe it or not, they think they're making you happy by being protected, anxious, this and that. That's their instincts. So what we have to do is we've got to tell them what really makes us happy. So when you come home and you give that dog all kinds of affection and love, say this one or that one over there, okay? What we've done here is we have rewarded excited and happy behavior. And then what happens is grandma comes over to the house and your dog's put 40 pounds on. And every time you come home, you're all excited, you're all happy. You just taught that dog to do that. And then when grandma comes over, you're like, hey, what are you doing? Knock it off. And the dog looks at you like, what the hell? That was our thing. I thought we were supposed to do that. And the dog's gonna say, I don't get it. The dog's confused. And then grandma leaves, and then you go to the store, and you come back, and you go right back to, hi, baby, how you doing? And so we have literally taught them to get excited when there is a stimulus. But what happens is because we have changed the rules on them multiple times, okay, the problem that we have is we have created doggy psychological problems because this events when people come over, the Girl Scout cookie comes, the Girl Scout girl selling cookies comes, you're pulling back, you're yelling at the dog, no, jump on him, and all of a sudden your dog goes from being excited and happy-go-lucky to excited and I don't know what to do. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm biting my nails. I hope this is the good one. So now when we walk your dog, when your dog has any stimulus, the dog has what we call doggy psychological problems that we've created. So it's not happy-go-lucky anymore. It's excited, which most people see as happy. Now, there are a lot of things. Happy isn't one of them. They're anxious. They're lacking communication. They don't know what to do. It's like going to a job every day. And you got your house to pay for, you got your apartment or your cars, your kids' college, your college, whatever expense, and you're sitting there thinking about it, all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, am I going to get fired today? Oh, geez, I'm going to get fired tomorrow. How am I going to pay my bill? All day you're thinking that. I'm going to get fired. It's like being in a spook house. Every time you come around a corner, you don't know what's there. That's what we've created with dogs by nurturing excited behavior. So, does that make sense? But again, I can't emphasize it enough. You haven't done anything wrong. You just follow what your brain told you to do. You were excited when they were excited and happy, and we kind of nurtured that behavior. So what we have to do is we have to start recognizing that, all right? Now, that was the human instincts at work. We messed up. Let's talk about the animal instincts for a minute. Think about a crocodile sitting in a body of water, floating, and I mean literally the heart rate has stopped, the breathing has stopped. That croc is sitting there in a body of water, literally doing nothing. Nothing, just waiting and waiting and waiting for a zebra to get a drink of water. And that croc will wait for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours if he has to. Why? Well, there's no Uber Eats, there's no Publix, there's no Kroger. They've got to hunt. To hunt, they have to wait. They have to be relaxed. They have to be calm, okay? Any ripple in the water, the zebra doesn't drink. The croc probably dies if he doesn't eat, okay? That's just the way it is. It's Mother Nature. They have to hunt. So, none of us have crocs here, so let's stop talking about crocs, but it provides a nice visual. Let's talk about dogs. So, let's talk about dog instinct. So, when the mother gives birth, immediately, okay? It's not like us. When a mother gives birth, she lays on her side, and it's nothing like what we experience. I've been through it 3 times, and it's it's not quiet. There's a lot of yelling, screaming, cursing, grunting, groaning. You know, it's loud. It's different. When a dog gives birth, she lays on her side. It's a very, very calm, relaxed environment. Okay, and that's the first environment dogs are exposed to. Calm, relaxed. Okay. Now, the mother immediately turns into the ultimate role model. She immediately turns into a dog that is, she doesn't get anxious, she doesn't get nervous, she doesn't panic. She's the perfect creature. Okay? And what she ends up doing is starting to set rules and boundaries and limitations for these dogs right away. She will correct dogs when they're a day, 2, 3 days old with her teeth. So if the puppy walks away a little too far away from the pack, the mother will grab it by the neck, pick it up. Dog immediately calms down and realizes that something's wrong. They did something wrong. If a dog becomes too impatient when she's waiting to eat, when the puppy's ready to eat, the mother will nip at it. Okay? If a dog is too aggressive with another dog, they will nip at it. So what we're doing is they're actually teaching the dog, buddy. They're actually teaching the dog to be calm, to be relaxed. The mother is. She's setting all these rules and boundaries and limitations. When dogs get older, they begin to fight, okay, or play, and things get a little escalated. What will happen is all the dogs will then descend on that dog that has exceeded the boundaries or the limitations of excitement, and they will start biting it. Okay, and they will correct it in a very firm and harsh manner. Okay, so why are they doing all this? They're teaching them to be balanced pack members. They're teaching them how to hunt. They're teaching them how to survive in a pack. Okay, so why we are doing this? Hey, Gucci, what you do? We're doing all that stuff. Okay, and we're teaching them to get their excitement levels as high as we can, and then throwing them a curveball by changing up the rules on them. In their world, they're taught to be calm and relaxed. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So throughout their existence in a pack, they're told, you need to chill out. You need to be calm. We can't allow you to get up here anymore, okay? And that's what we're gonna wanna start doing as our relationship with our dog progresses, is a dog that's calm doesn't wanna go after another dog, doesn't get nervous, doesn't do all these things. They just kind of chill out, and then when we say it's time to get anxious, we get anxious. So that nervous dog over there would be attacked by other dogs in the pack if that was a feral dog, and one of 2 things would happen. The dog would either get bit a couple of times and learn, which is typically what happens, or the dog wouldn't learn and probably get maimed or killed. So that's how it is. So we have to understand they are not human. They're different. And those instincts are so prevalent in their world. We've all seen that nervous dog walking down the street and your dog wants to kill him. Why? Their instincts are kicking in. They're like, I've got to correct that dog. That dog's out of balance and nobody else is. So when you're home with your dog and you're allowing a dog to be nervous and anxious, and you've allowed a dog to be dominant, that's all he's doing. And in dog world, in dog communications, is saying, you're too hyped up. You got to slow down. Okay? You're communicating with it. Does that make sense? Make sense? Everything makes sense so far?
Yep.
So the instincts that we have are different than theirs. All right? Another example is nervousness. A dog is nervous. What do we do as humans? You know, if you got a child and your child is really, really anxious when there's a thunderstorm, you know, and he's shaking, maybe he's 5, 6 years old, this is what you do. It's okay. It's only God bowling. Don't worry about it. It's only God bowling. You're going to basically reassure them. Let them know everything is fine. Everything's going to be okay. But what you're really doing is saying, I like when you're nervous. Keep being nervous, baby. Yes, it's okay. That's what we're doing. See, in the dog world, they would bite him. Okay? Now, why would they bite him? Well, it's simple. They're out of balance. You can't hunt if you're nervous. You will scare your prey away. You'll also put a big old X on the bull you'll also put a big old X on the pack's back, because another pack, maybe a larger pack, would smell it. You can smell that fear. And what do you think would happen? I mean, so now we have a liability on our hands, okay? So it's important to understand that humans are nurturing overexcitement. They're nurturing this kind of behavior, this nervous, leave it, this kind of anxious behavior. We are also nurturing fear and anxiety. So we're doing all the things wrong. And now what we have is we have a dog that basically doesn't know what to do. The dog is in the spook house. They just no idea what to do. So what we have to do moving forward today is not only build our relationship, but provide clarity to the dog. That's what I'm doing with this dog. And I haven't even really worked with him. I'm providing clarity to this dog, okay? To say, you have to sit here. I know you want to get up, okay? But you have to sit here. And because when you sit here, there's really nothing left to do once I've told the dog to sit here 4 or 5 times, but to relax. Unless you're Bubba. I got no idea what Bubba's trying to do. I like eating grass.
She's eating dirt.
The nuts. I think he's trying to get me those nuts.
You used to be the best dog in the world.
The nuts.
You're relaxed. All right.
Just
So,
you want
so
to hold
does it
them.
make sense
Would
what
that
I'm
help?
saying? How we have nurtured these behaviors? Does that make sense? We humanize dogs, and that is our first mistake. We treat them as our children. That's our mistake. Okay? We've got to stop doing that. So the first thing we want to do is start building that relationship. Okay, and start communicating in an effective way. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm trying to think what else I want to cover. We have to talk about consequences. Very, very important. You guys have seen a couple consequences already today. One of the things we have to discuss too is how they learn. Because of course, they learn in a completely different way than us. Okay? When dogs are born, they're born blind and deaf. So what you got to remember is how did they get around? How did they navigate? How did they know what to do when you're blind and deaf? Well, it's very simple. It's their nose. So if you remember when I told you we don't want to look at our dog, touch our dog, or talk to our dog. We want your dog to just drink in our energy, okay? And their nose is how they do it. See, we don't really use our nose. How are you guys learning from me right now? With your ears. That's how we really listen. Right? That's how we learn. How do you teach? Well, right now, what am I doing? I'm talking to you, okay? So that's how we always figure, well, that's how I'm going to teach my dog, by telling him what to do and saying, okay, now stop that, or you're going to go to timeout, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. You must use your body language and your energy. See, that's what we are to our dogs, because they use their nose to learn, okay? So how they learn from us is their nose and their eyes. You are nothing more to your dog than your energy that you have, and your energy is nothing more than you're calm, relaxed, firm, or your energy could be sad, anxious, nervous, frustrated, angry, overly empathetic. Those are weaknesses. Your dog senses that. They're animals. They're much more acute to that. They would destroy us in poker if they could play poker, because you could never BS them. You could not bluff. Okay, so you have to understand that our communication, one of the ways we communicate with them, is how we're feeling inside. And if we're anxious, if we're nervous, if we think our dog, oh, here comes that person down the street, you're squeezing this thing, and you're breathing fast and your heart's racing, okay? Your dog senses that. Your dog senses your anxiety. Your dog sees your body language, and guess what? You're basically saying, attack. That's how, okay? And they're looking at you saying, well, I can't follow you. You're out of your mind, so I have to make the decision to do it, okay? So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna start changing the way we feel, changing the way we are internally. That's a big part of why dogs have the troubles they do. It's because of us and what we're feeling and our body language and us projecting the future. So we've got to sit back and start looking at the dog's perspective. Nose and eyes, okay? We are ears and eyes, okay? Totally different way. We don't need to talk to dogs. We're going to use energy to talk to dogs. We're going to use our body language. We're just going to use sounds, okay? So that's how they learn. How do we correct a dog? All right, I'll give you an example right now. We want to give a verbal of a, ready? And then a ticket. So that's what I did there. So I gave a verbal, and that means something, and then a ticket. So it's kind of like if I was driving here, coming up, I don't know, what else coming up, 575 or 5 something. I was coming up here, speed limit 70 miles an hour. I think I might have been going 98. I just love driving fast because, you know, about a year and a half ago, you know what it's like to drive around here. 6 miles an hour stop, 5 miles an hour stop. Well, right now, that 65 mile an hour sign is kind of what you guys saying no to your dog is. It's just a suggestion, okay? And it doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? But here's the problem. Like, I don't really care about that 70-mile sign. It doesn't mean anything to me. I am blowing through the speed limit. But what's going to happen is, for me to care about that, I'm going to get a ticket. And that ticket's probably going to run me $800. And then I've got, you know, my booked out until pretty close to June right now. I've got to tell somebody that I can't have a, I got to tell somebody that I can't go to an appointment because I have a court date, and I hate letting people down. To me, it's the worst thing in the world, letting anybody down. Okay, and I also am going to have probably a huge fine, and my insurance is going to go way up. So that 65 mile an hour sign means something to me now, right? I don't need a cop sitting underneath it. I don't need a cop sitting underneath it to know that I have to keep that thing around 70. Well, it's the same thing with your dog. When we're out here, we're working with a dog, and we give them a ticket. So in other words, I'll say, hey, and I'll give a pop on the leash. That's kind of your ticket, or a spray. You guys have seen, or a touch. So what we want to do is give a verbal, and then some form of physical touch, and then get them to relax. Okay, that's how we're going to communicate with a dog, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you. It's very simple, but what we do as humans is this: we just say no, or we go to it. We put them in timeout. Dogs don't know what timeout is. They don't have the ability to rationalize. So to them, you've almost rewarded them. Or I see a lot of people when the dog does something wrong, they redirect them with a treat. They just rewarded them. This is what we want right here, is this dog to, see how she put her chin down? This is what we want. We want a relaxed, calm dog, okay? This is how you want your dog, and this is when we want to provide that love and affection, right here, when she's in that form, never in an excited state. Does that make sense? Okay? Does anyone have any questions to this point? I mean, I've kind of mumbled through a whole bunch of things here to at least give you an idea how to be successful with your dog after I leave. And then I'm going to do is I'll demonstrate with a dog. That one might need it the most. But any questions as far as how, what, where, who disagree on any of the things that I talked about? Or do you have your own challenges that you guys want to kind of present me with that I can walk you through? Anything?
JoJo just jumped. I guess, you know, and we've allowed the behavior and everything.
Yeah, you've allowed it.
And I guess, like, I feel like it would be like now a parent that hasn't really made their mind now coming in, like, do they take you seriously?